Well, drive anywhere across Michigan, then it's pretty obvious that many of our roads are in pretty bad shape.
Transportation experts say it's partly because trucks are just carrying too much weight. In fact, numbers show an overweight commercial truck causes the same amount of damage to local roads as tens of thousands of passenger vehicles driving that same stretch. It adds up to millions of dollars coming out of taxpayers' pockets to fix problems caused by companies overloading trucks and breaking the law. Tonight, the News Channel 3 I-Team is on Waste Watch, digging deeper into highway hazards. Chief Investigative Reporter David Bailey tells us what he found and why he took those results all the way to the governor's office.
The one truth we found right off the bat, you don't want to make Officer Rod Watts mad.
I'll deal with you when you're done with your phone call, okay?
No, that was my question.
Okay, no. When you're done with your phone call, we can talk.
Talk about what Watts, a commercial vehicle enforcement officer, found wrong with this guy's truck.
You can see the weight on the tires there.
40,000 pounds of weight, or 20 tons on those back tires or axles, 7 tons too many by law.
What is the real problem here with somebody who's doing that?
Well, they're tearing up the roads with too much weight, and that's where we come in at.
We'll tell you whether Officer Watts gave him a nearly $2,000 ticket in a minute. Leaders within the MSP gave the I-Team a rare look inside this state division's work. Rare because, frankly, it hasn't been a very good couple of years for this team. Keep in mind, Michigan allows up to 11 axles and the most hauling weight of any other state. When it comes to enforcement, vehicle enforcement had the lowest manpower ever the last few years. Truck weight scales broken and antiquated. Most of the time, weigh stations closed. A 2008 state audit pointed out how embarrassing it was for the state. A third of all scales in the state broken. East of Jackson, this facility we visited near Grass Lake just reopened in February after being closed, get this, 2.5 years. In a way, Sergeant Brett Black, who works there, is paying the price for that closure. The officer catching weigh station skippers one after another when the station is open. Turns out while we were there with him, he caught 2 in 10 minutes time and says if he wanted to, he could frankly run down at least 1 an hour.
You have your driver's license in your log with you, sir?
That out-of-stater told to turn his rig around and come on back.
And honestly, he said he didn't see it.
You believe that?
Kind of hard to miss it.
Minutes later, back at the station, we met trucker Bob Coletti from Missouri, who is in big trouble. Could be thrown in jail for a misdemeanor.
I mean, how can you miss it?
If you go back there, you'll see a sign that has a big old ring on it. My wife had just come in on that ring. I looked at that sign and missed the weigh station.
Do you feel you deserve a ticket for that?
That's a loaded question. I'm praying I don't get one, I'll put it that way.
Turned out his prayer was answered. Just a warning, can't throw everybody in jail, including those they catch trying to intentionally zigzag around the station on other roads. Some of News Channel 3's sources, though, within the trucking industry say running trucks overweight is a rampant problem because it's worth it for companies to take that risk, overloading trucks to maximize profits.
Any ideas?
A trucker named Brett thinks few truck drivers are actually breaking the law. He, interestingly, owns the truck we mentioned that was overweight.
Do you ever have a lot of this, then?
No.
Does this ever happen a lot?
No, this doesn't happen hardly at all.
Are you disappointed that this is happening right now?
Very.
Brett works for a hauler based in Ohio, a company with a less than stellar safety record, the I-Team found. Federal records show his company, Rocky Pine Farms, has 51 vehicle maintenance violations and a serious violation involving fatigued drivers. The company's had 7 inspections in Michigan where mechanical problems have been found in the past year and a half. But the ticket, nearly $2,000, apparently doesn't bother him.
I mean, do you feel like, that you should say you're sorry to people in Michigan, or,
No, not at all. It was a mechanical failure.
Well, we wanted to know what our state leaders were going to do in the future to catch repeat offenders like this to preserve the pavement we do have.
Did a town hall recently, and I said, does anyone like our roads and bridges? Not one hand went up. So no one's happy.
Governor Snyder's administration recently added 20 new motor carrier officers, perhaps 20 more coming in the future. But one problem is still there. There's no stepped-up penalties for repeat offenders.
But as a practical matter, if it's a continuing issue, we should look at what are the next steps beyond that, because, again, they're taking advantage of all Michiganders.
Back at the station as we were leaving, we looked over, and unapologetic Brett still sitting there. 5 hours after being stopped, Officer Watts standing guard. Brett can't leave until it's fixed.
If I try to leave, they're probably going to get upset. So,
David Bailey, News Channel 3 I-Team.
Well, police blame the court system in part for this problem. There is a belief that local judges reduce fines at time of trial, giving companies repeated breaks and possibly opening up the door to even more future violations.